Hello, this is Jane Miller back with Find Your Encore for Believers. And we're on the section where I wanted to just work a little bit on applying all that we've learned. I was at a praise dinner last night and was gifted these beautiful tulips, and they just opened up this morning. So I'm going to set them here aside. I know they're a little blurry for you, but I think they're just lovely. So here's what we want to do in applying all that we've learned. So wait, that's number one. We want to follow God's schedule. Stop. We want to live thoughtfully, not automatically, right? We want to celebrate. We want to follow daily faith and then celebrate it with gratitude. We want to focus. We want to focus on prayer all day long. Listen. We want to listen without assumptions, and then finally go along his path. So Charles Stanley gave me some inspiration for some of this. So I thank In Touch for that. So first, waiting. I know we want to get going here, and we like to feel in control, right, of our schedules. But it can be frustrating, like when things don't go like we want them to or as fast as they want them to. But when we truly desire to walk with God and be obedient with God, we got to cooperate with his time frame, his plan. So you could start by, how do you pray about situations in your life? We might be unknowingly kind of demanding of the Lord, demanding that the Lord follow our schedule. And we only have human wisdom though, right? And if we believe God is who he says he is, and I think you do, think about surrendering to his way and how that's such a benefit. You know, the Lord has such complete knowledge about our world here on earth and our details, the details of every individual he knows. We can't even figure out our own intentions. And we know that God acts out of love for whatever it is he gives. And that's going to be sufficient at just about the right time always. So listening to God's timetable, it does require faith and some courage. But if we believe in the goodness, and we do, the goodness of his heart and his plan, we can determine to wait. Then he'll move us forward. And then as we follow his schedule, we'll experience such joy of seeing how he displays his great glory for us. Now, talking about stopping, we want to stop and think thoughtfully, not automatically, right? So are we living this way? Are we living thoughtfully and not automatically? You know, it's easy to get up every morning and do what we think, and maybe enjoy a little relaxation, some entertainment, fall into bed every night without giving any thought to what God's done for us and how he's involved in our life. Don't fall into that trap. We want to consider the benefits of keeping our minds and our ears and our eyes open throughout the day so that we can see and appreciate how God has blessed us, how he's guided us, how he's protected us and warned us. So if we're aware all the time and thinking about God's presence in our life, we know he's in control. He's working to accomplish good purpose with us. You know, walk through the day with God. Think about how he walked with us. Look at the footprints that he sent us along. We can discover then the wide scope of his involvement. So maybe he opened a door of opportunity or made us stronger. Maybe he guided us in a decision or helped you to respond in a compassionate way to a difficult purpose. Remember a couple sections back how we're trying to send love to people who annoy us? Yeah. So, and as we listen to what has been accomplished, we're really less going to repeat those mistakes, right? And then every night before we go to sleep, remember the 6 things we're going to do tomorrow. Do that with grace. Reflect on the day's activities and what we're going to get done tomorrow, and know that the Lord is constantly with us. He's guiding us. He's guarding us. He's giving us plans. He wants us to understand from his perspective and to rely on him when we face any challenge at all. So celebrating with faith and gratitude. Do you remember the parable where the shepherd loses one of the sheep? Sure. And it's really a heartwarming picture because the shepherd goes out looking for just that one sheep, even though he has 99 to take care of. And that's really the picture of the Lord's love for us. But a lot of the time, the celebration is what we're missing. When then the shepherd in the story finds that one sheep, as Jesus finds us, he rejoices with his friends. He rejoices with Jesus. And then heaven in return rejoices in our repentance. So how about, we often will celebrate a friend's achievements or maybe a birthday, but how often do we pause and celebrate everything God has given us in our lives? I think if you're following using the gratitude journal, you've learned to do that daily. Good for you. Most times we're just too hurried and distracted in our lives, and we don't take inventory of all the Lord has given us. And that exercise that we're doing every morning to list 10 things that we're grateful for, and to send love to people, and to write down some guidance that we had. That one sheet will take you so far in this journey, and it'll help you to celebrate. And there's not enough celebration. No, Jesus really makes it clear that we cannot celebrate God's faithfulness enough, no matter how big or small the occasion is. So celebrate the Lord's gifts all year long. Consider our life and celebrate. Now, when we talk about focusing on prayer all day long and listening without assumption, and then getting along on our path, think of this. It's often, it might be feeling like a balancing act, of spirit, one way or the other. But remember Abraham? God said, take now your son, your only son, whom you love, Isaac, and offer him there as a burnt offering. Genesis 22:2. Can you imagine? Abraham had to, be so resolute and so devoted to the instructions and have the faith that it was going to be okay. Can you imagine the plans God has for us? Even if they don't seem right, it's going to turn out just fine. So as believers, we do want to remain focused on prayer, and focused on the Lord's call. We have to listen, right? But we need to be flexible, and we need to be sensitive to his voice. And sometimes it's hard, isn't it, with everything going on? But remember when we were talking about the faculties of the mind, and we learned how to focus and learn how to build our will by sitting and staring at the dot on the wall. And when our mind fades away, just bring it back. It's what it's going to take, just some practice. So be sensitive to it, be sensitive to the Lord's voice, and the Lord, he'll show us how. And no matter what plan that God chooses for us, at the end of the day, the goal, remember our first goal, our number one priority goal, is to cling to him, not to cling to the plans that we've made. and prayer. Prayer is going to help us to stay tuned in with God's plans for us. It'll help us to hear his continued guidance. And I just know that the path ahead of you can be so fulfilled with joy. So I want you to rinse and repeat, as we mentioned in the last section, go over some of this, reach out, stay on the Facebook or wherever we're conversing with people, and find your encore as a believer. This is Jane Miller. God bless.